Hello friends, this is Worm, yes sir, or yes ma'am, and today we are back with our third episode of the Ego Check series, a series where I check Destiny 2 players' massively inflated egos, and today I'm here to tell you that shotguns and fusion rifles are not broken and not OP. Now hold on, before you start going in the comments and blah blah blah, typing up all this mess, hear me out, okay? Also, before we get started, there's a lot of you who aren't subbed, so go down there, hit that sub button so you too can be a daily part of our conversations, which we do every single day. But let's talk about shotguns and fusion rifles. Now, full disclosure here, I actually don't know the percentage of players that are aggravated, frustrated, annoyed, or think that shotguns and fusion rifles are OP or broken, right? And I know that's a wild thing to say right now, right? Because it's like, how can you say that how can you make this a whole episode if you don't know what it is? But remember, and we talked about this last week, Destiny 2 PvP players have an arc, right? They have the Destiny 2 villain arc, so to speak. Part of that is reaching a point where you whine and complain about special weapons, right? Because you're using your 120 round minute hand cannon, god roll igneous hammer, and it takes 1 second to kill somebody, and all of a sudden they just come out of nowhere and instant kill you, right? And like, yes, that's very frustrating. And in a game like Destiny 2 where the time to kill is very long, compared to other games, yeah, instant killing weapons are very, very frustrating, and they're somewhat, they would feel problematic. That's what I should say. They would feel problematic. But I don't think that they are problematic, okay? And I've got a couple of good reasons why. Number one, Bungie has not substantially changed shotguns, and we'll start with shotguns, right? Bungie has not substantially changed shotguns in quite some time, right? I mean, I don't know about y'all, but way back in Destiny 1, the Fellwinter's Lie meta, right? Because Fellwinter's Lie was a weapon in Destiny 1. Fellwinter's Lie meta was absolutely insane. I mean, that thing could map you literally from like 15, 16 meters away. Like it was nutty how strong Fellwinter's Lie was. But they since changed it, stuff like that, and we've kind of gone up and down on the shotgun usage or shotgun overpowered scale, right? We had we had things like the Chaperone meta, where Chaperone would just absolutely beam you with the most insane crits in the universe. We had, of course, the Fellwinter's Lie in Destiny 2. Fellwinter's Lie 2.0 is what we should call it, right? We had, let's see, what was another one? We had the lightweight frame shotgun meta, like Reese Walker, that was absolutely ridiculous. But since we've kind of moved past all those, shotguns, aside from conditional finality, have not really been in the spotlight, I guess, right? And I really think that conditional finality is only in the spotlight because of its exotic perk, but we have a whole video dedicated to conditional finality and whether or not it's OP, which you can watch somewhere on the screen, maybe over there. No, over there, right? Yeah, over there. Anyways, but shotguns, they haven't been changed in a long time. And I think the reason why is because Bungie feels they are in a good spot. Because here's the thing, Bungie relies on data. Bungie relies on every single player that plays Destiny 2, and they look at usage rates and stuff like that, and time to kills across the board. And that's how they determine whether or not things are OP or not, right? And so when you have a situation where, like, for example, One-Eyed Mask way back in the day, where every single Titan and his mom was using it, and it was allowing them to go on, like, 20 kill streaks with no problem, then it's like, hey, it's time to tune that. It's time to fix it, right? And they haven't mentioned anything about shotguns. They haven't said they're looking at shotguns or anything. I really think that the reason why is because, of course, shotguns are kind of good where they are. Shotguns have a niche role, just like conditional finality has a niche role as a super killer. Shotguns in general have a niche role, which is a close quarter, depending on the shotgun, you have an emergency, button to pull out, and handle an enemy that's rushing you down. Like, they have a role to fill. They're not something like, I don't know, say SMGs currently. SMGs are kind of a jack of all trades, right? You got close range, you got mid range, you got long range. I mean, you can slap on an immortal and kill players out to, 20 meters with ease, right? But also, if those same players are within 10 meters, it's still an easy kill, right? Shotguns, and especially the buckshot. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. Especially the buckshot shotguns, which I think are what people mainly get frustrated about. They're fine where they are. Just because people use them and you die to them does not mean that they're OP, right? And I would go as far to say that, like, if you're dying to a shotgun consistently throughout a game, there's not a problem with that other player's playstyle. There's a problem with your playstyle, right? They're not difficult to counter. A shotgun is not difficult to counter. You know, depending on the subclass / class you're playing on, you have things built into your kit to combat shotgun rushing. You know, on Hunter, you have the void melee ability, right? Void melee ability, throw a smoke down right in front of that Titan or whoever's rushing you. That stops them in their tracks, right? You've got stasis, you've got strand, you've got all kinds of things that can stop a shotgun rush. And not only that, you have knowledge of the map. You know where choke points are. You know where close quarter combat is, and where, you know, and where you're at risk of getting killed by a shotgun. Maybe it's time to start just avoiding those, taking the longer route around, analyzing the situation, throwing a grenade in commonly camped corners, right? You're walking up, you see there's a doorway, you see a red blip right on the other side of the doorway. You know which corner they're sitting in. You know that people frequently sit in that corner with shotguns. Why not throw a grenade right there, right? And I know, you say, well, what if you don't have a grenade? Look, we could go into the what if details, blah, 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 because what if there's a situation where everything's going to be on top? I could counter any what if situation with another what if, but that's because that's what it is. It's what if situations. In a general scenario, though, okay, in a general, your average game encounter, right? Your average duel / enemy encounter within the Crucible, shotguns are easily counterable. Okay, now I want to move on to fusion rifles, because I think there's a lot more frustration towards fusion rifles as opposed to shotguns. And with fusion rifles, they fill a different role, right? Obviously, fusion rifles are oftentimes compared to a long-range shotgun, right? Oh, that's not fair. I just got mapped by a Iota Draconis, right? And I use that as an example because I was in a game earlier and somebody was using that and absolutely tearing me up. But, somebody's using Iota Draconis. It has a 30-meter kill range. Like, that's a shotgun with 30 meters. That's BS, blah, 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 blah. But let's be real about fusion rifles. Like, what is the primary thing to consider when using a fusion rifle? You probably guessed it. It is the charge time. That charge time is a big deal, right? And yes, you have fast charging fusions. I think the fastest fusion rifle charge time you can get is it 460 or is it 400? I think it's just 460, right? And that is a rapid fire frame fusion rifle, which rapid fire frames, I don't see them very often in the Crucible because they're not exactly the best. They have like 9 bolts that have this wacky spread around them and stuff like that. And so I think that, the most common fusion rifles we run into are the adaptive frames, right? Those 680? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that, but the 680 charge time. Things like main ingredient, things like burden of guilt. What's another one? Well, those two are big, right? Especially main ingredient. And here's the thing about the fusion rifles. Like, they have a charge time. Literally, you take a fusion rifle, okay, and their charge time alone is slower than many, not most, but many other weapons' time to kills. Right? Like, if you're 1v1ing somebody and they're using a fusion rifle and you're using, say, a 300 round per minute sidearm, just pull something out of the thin air, right? 300 round per minute sidearm, your time to kill is faster than that person's charge time. You can kill that person in 0.6 seconds. They take 0.68 seconds to charge it, right? So players, that's something you have to consider. And yes, there is such thing as pre-charging. You pre-charge, you walk around the corner and you shoot. But in my opinion, it's not hard to bait fusion rifles, right? I mean, and we've seen it. You'll probably seen it. If you watch the gameplay and actually pay attention to it, you've probably seen it happen quite frequently. I will be behind a corner, right? I know somebody's using a fusion rifle, okay? Whether I saw it before, or whether, I use 3-peek to look around the corner, or whatever it is, or you can hear him charge it, bzz, 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 bzz. Like, it's not exactly quiet, right? But, sorry, that was fun to make that sound. But you can hear it charging. All you have to do is walk around the corner, look at them, they start charging it, and then just dip back. I mean, literally walk out, look at him for not even half a second, like 0.2 seconds, then go back behind cover. 9 times out of 10, that person's control is not going to be good enough to let off the trigger fast enough to not shoot the fusion rifle, right? Even your slow charging ones, the ones that have 1 second charge time, or did they change it? Maybe they changed it. I can't remember. But, you know, even these slow charging fusion rifles, it's like, man, like they're easy to bait out. And especially with the slow ones, I think the slow ones are easier because you can go out from cover, just look at that person for a little bit longer. And it's fun because you just stand there, look at them, and then go back behind cover. And it's something that it does take practice to get down the timing for it. You know, like if you know you're playing somebody with Iota Draconis, for example, you know that you can peek for X amount of time before you are toast, right? It's very easy to bait fusion rifle users shots out. Okay, and really, I would argue that if somebody is able to, if somebody's has enough control to not like use their fusion rifle shot in a bait situation, I would argue that person is just better, right? Because remember, at the end of the day, there are people that are better than you, and that's probably going to be next week's episode, but you know, we'll talk about that next week. There are people who exist that are going to be better than you. Like there is not necessarily a say all be all for every situation. Okay, you could, you know, somebody could be using a shotgun and a submachine gun or using dual SMGs, and you play in the most perfect way, and there's still situations where that person is going to beat you out in a duel, right? Like the whole idea behind countering loadouts is not the ultimate counter, right? It's winning more of these situations where you formerly were losing every single time, right? You know, if you're losing most of your shotgun battles, right, or you're dying to shotguns a lot, there's an easy counter that you can take, right? That easy counter is you know, play at a distance, right? You're still gonna die to shotguns. I preach, you know, about counterplay and stuff like this. I still die to silly stuff. I still die to shotguns. I still die to fusions. I still die because I'm not looking at a lane right, and I get sniped. And I'm like, wow, that dude just got the easiest kill of his life because I'm sitting there scoped in and I get beamed, right? Like, I'm not a perfect player. I can't counterplay literally every situation. I think the person who can counterplay every single situation, right? Every situation, that right there is the world's greatest player, because theoretically that person should never ever die, right? And I can sit here, I can preach counterplay, you know, and I can discuss counterplay, you know, and how you can get better at Destiny 2 by using counterplay. That does not mean that's, you know, I'm going to win every single counterplay situation. What it means, though, is I have the ability to win more of my counterplay situations. Like right there, you just saw right there, you know, I missed a doorway. I was trying to swing into that doorway, and that sniper took me out because I got stuck on the doorway. And that happens a lot. Like, players are clumsy. Like, you're clumsy sometimes, I'm clumsy sometimes, and sometimes we're just goofing around. Like, the gameplay you're seeing here, I'm in Mayhem. I'm literally just goofing around. I'm trying to play tag with the enemy, right? Like, I'm literally, you know, I'm shooting people here and there. I'm getting some kills, but I'm trying to use my grapple grenade and my ensnaring slam, just move around the map and run away with people in super, right? Because that's fun to me, right? But anyways, not to get off topic here, but yeah, shotguns and fusion rifles, they're not really overpowered, you know, and at the very, very worst, if a shotgun is considered overpowered, you have the ability to also put on a shotgun and use a shotgun, right? You know, if you can't beat them, join them. That's the ultimate phrase, you know, that I can give to Destiny players. Like, oh my gosh, like they have, you know, like they're using the most busted loadout. Okay, guess what? You use the most busted loadout, right? And if you don't have something like conditional finality, for example, like, I get it, but the reality is there's probably not a lot of you out there that don't have conditional finality. And not only that, but Felwinter's Lie, in my opinion, is just better pound for pound than conditional finality, right? It has a longer one-shot kill range. In my opinion, it is more consistent. Right now, again, I don't use shotguns very often, right? I don't, but it feels more consistent. Like, you know, yeah, I don't know. That's it. I'm at this point, I feel like I'm gonna ramble, you know, about the same stuff. But I want to hear your thoughts on shotguns and fusion rifles. Do you think that shotguns and fusion rifles are problematic or overpowered? You know, and do you think that, like, they have counterplay? Like, if you're one of these people that's, you know, say that shotguns / fusion rifles are OP, and that, you know, I'm a good player and I shouldn't be dying to shotguns and fusion rifles, like, please, like, explain your situation in the comments so that I can come in here and kind of help give you some guidance on, hey, like, maybe try this differently, right? But anyways, yeah, that's it. You know, ego check. Shotguns and fusions are not as busted as everybody say they are, right? And you just need to practice better counterplay. But with that being said, of course, if you liked the video, drop a like. Helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content and conversations such as this one. And do me a favor, watch the videos you see on the end screen, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks that you'll like them. Guys, I will see y'all next time. Bye for now.